Sometimes, after a difficult beginning, life doesn't change all at once. There isn't always a grand sign that things will be okay. Sometimes there is only a small kindness, a warm room, a place to sleep, someone who looks at you and decides to believe in you. For KiKi, that someone is Osono. After arriving in a town that felt too big, too loud, and not quite ready to welcome her, KiKi finds herself beside the bakery, in a little flower-covered room where the world finally feels a bit softer. It isn't perfect. She is still unsure, still lonely, still wondering if she truly belongs here. But something has shifted. One tiny delivery has reminded her that her magic still has a place in the world. Not because it is flashy or impressive, but because it can help someone. It can carry something important from one heart to another. Tonight, we return to KiKi's world as she opens the door to a new beginning. A little delivery service, a nervous heart, a loyal black cat, and the first few people who help her feel less alone. So find your cozy spot. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Let the noise of the day drift far away. And let's step into KiKi's delivery service. Once, there was a little town sandwiched between a deep forest and gentle grassy hills. The town was built on an easy southward slope, its roofs the color of dark slices of toast all in a row. Clustered in the center of town, near the train station, were the town hall, the police station, fire station, and the school. It was a normal town, one you could find anywhere. But if you paid close attention, you'd find things you wouldn't usually see. For instance, silver bells hung from the tops of tall trees, even when it wasn't storming. These bells sometimes made a racket with their ringing, and the townspeople would turn to each other and smile, saying, "Little KiKi must have gotten caught again." But how could someone so little ring the bells in the treetops? Well, if you looked to the east and peeked into KiKi's home, you'd find the answer. On a gate pillar facing the road hung a sign that read "Sneeze Medicine" right next to a big green gate that sat wide open. Beyond the gate was a large garden and a single-story house. The garden grew herbs in neat rows with broad leaves and pointy leaves, all different kinds. And a pungent scent filled the area. The smell continued into the house and was strongest around the copper pot in the kitchen. From there, you'd have a perfect view of the front living room wall. Instead of paintings or family photographs as you'd expect, 2 brooms made of bundled branches hung there. A big one and a little one. And from the living room, you could hear the family's voices as they gathered for tea. "KiKi, when are you planning to leave?" said a woman's voice, full of disapproval. "I think it's about time you let us know. You can't keep putting it off like this." "That again?" A girl spoke now. "Don't worry, Mom. I'm your daughter after all. I am a witch. I'm thinking about it." "How about leaving it up to KiKi, dear?" a calm man interjected. "Until she decides for herself. You can prod all you want, but it won't make a difference." "Yes, you might be right." The woman's voice rose slightly. "I'm just anxious. I feel responsible, you know." In this house lived a family of witches. Well, Kokiri, the mother, came from a long line of witches, and Okino, the father, was human. As a folklorist, he studied legends and tales about spirits and magic. KiKi was their only child, soon to turn 13. The 3 were talking over tea about KiKi's coming-of-age day. When daughters of witches and humans reached the age of 10, they decided whether to follow tradition and live as witches themselves. If a girl picked this path, she promptly learned her mother's magic and chose a full moon night of her 13th year as her coming-of-age day. For a young witch, this meant leaving her parents' house and moving to live on her own in a town or village in need of magic. Of course, finding a witchless town on her own is a difficult thing for a little girl to do. But over the years, witches' powers had grown weaker, and their numbers had dropped. Such important tradition helped them survive, as well as share the existence of witches with as many towns, villages, and people as possible. At age 10, KiKi had decided to become a witch and learned Kokiri's magic right away. Kokiri had 2 magic abilities. The first was growing herbs to make sneeze medicine, and the second was flying through the sky on a broom. KiKi quickly got the hang of flying, but as she grew older, she often found herself distracted by all sorts of things. For example, the big pimples that started appearing on the sides of her nose, or deciding which dress she should wear to her friend's birthday party. Whenever that happened, her broom would suddenly start to fall. One time she was so busy thinking about the scratchy new underwear she was wearing that she ran into a power line. Her broom broke into pieces, and KiKi herself ended up with bumps on her nose and both kneecaps. Soon after, Kokiri tied bells to the tall trees of the forest. If KiKi was lost in thought and flying too low, her feet would ring the bells, and the sound would bring her back to reality. Fortunately, they were ringing much less than they used to. Meanwhile, there was the sneeze medicine making, but KiKi didn't seem to be cut out for it. She was impatient and found it difficult to grow the herbs. Finally, chop the leaves and roots and slowly simmer them. Will another type of magic disappear? KiKi lamented. In the olden days, witches could use all sorts of magic. But over the years, one type after another disappeared, until even a genuine witch like KiKi was left with only 2 abilities. Now her daughter hated one of them, so it was no wonder she was upset. But it feels so much better to fly through the sky than stir a pot. KiKi didn't see what the issue was. At these times, Okino would try to cheer KiKi up. Well, we can't force it. Maybe someday lost magic will be relearned. Plus, she has her black cat, doesn't she? Witches have long been accompanied by black cats. One could say that's another type of magic too. When a witch has a baby girl, she searches for a black cat born around the same time and raises them together. As they grow, the cat and the girl learn to speak to each other in their own language. KiKi used to have a cat named Mei, and KiKi had one as well, a little black cat named Gigi. By the time the girl came of age, the cat would be a precious companion and someone to turn to during good times and bad. Eventually, the girl would grow up and find a new companion to take the place of her cat. The cat would also find its own partner, and from then on, the pair would live separately. After tea, KiKi and Okino went out to run errands, while KiKi and Gigi sat dreamily at the garden's edge. I guess I should leave soon, KiKi said. You should. You're not going to decide you don't want to be a witch this late in the game, are you? Gigi asked, looking up at her. Oh, of course not. Then the memory and thrill of her first time flying on a broom came rushing back. For most of her life, KiKi was brought up, more or less like any normal girl. She knew that her mother was a witch, and that she would have to decide for herself one day whether she wanted to be one too. Still, she never gave the decision serious thought. But a little while after she turned 10, she heard a friend of hers say, I'm going to follow in my mom's footsteps and become a hairdresser. KiKi had a vague sense that KiKi wanted her to follow in her footsteps, but she didn't wish to become a witch simply because of her mother. I'm going to be whatever I want, KiKi thought. I'm going to decide for myself. One day, KiKi fashioned her daughter a little broom and asked, Want to try flying? Me? I can fly? You're the daughter of a witch, so I should think so. She could tell her mother was trying to lure her into taking up the family tradition, but it was a rare chance, so she agreed to learn the basics. Following KiKi, she shyly mounted her broom and kicked off the ground. Instantly, her body grew light. She was floating. I'm flying, she shouted in spite of herself. She was only about 10 feet above the rooftop, but it felt incredible. The sky even seemed a little bluer, and on top of that, a curiosity welled up inside her, lifting both her heart and body. I want to go higher, higher and higher. I wonder what I'll be able to see. What's it like up there? I need to know more. It was love at first flight, so of course she decided to become a witch. It's in your blood, KiKi said with delight. But KiKi told herself, no, it's not just that. I decided for myself. Suddenly, KiKi jumped up from the grass. Hey Gigi, let's go check on my project. Just for a minute since Mom isn't here. She jerked her chin toward the shed in the corner of the garden. Why are you keeping it a secret from KiKi anyway? Gigi moaned. 'Cause she makes such a big deal out of anything to do with coming of age. And she always has to have her say, which makes everything more complicated than it needs to be. Well, I understand that. Anyhow, you need to make sure it gets lots of sun so it can properly dry out. Only a little. Okay, but don't bring it to bed again. If you sleep with it, it'll get moldy like last time. I know. I need you to help me out, though. Pretty soon it'll be just us two. As she spoke, she waded deftly through the waist-high herbs and angled her body into the space between the shed and the fence. Then she let out a happy yelp. Look! A long, thin broom hung from the eaves of the shed. It gleamed in the westering sun. If it's this beautiful, I think it'll be okay, she squealed. Yeah, it seems like the drying process went well this time. Gigi looked up at her, wide-eyed. Hey KiKi, why don't you try flying? The weather's nice. I can't do that, KiKi shook her head. I'm not using it until the day I leave. It'll be here soon. I want everything to be brand new. My clothes, my shoes, and my broom too. I want to be reborn. I'm sure Mom'll say you're from a long line of witches, so you need to value the old. But I'm me. I'm a new witch. So how am I supposed to make myself new? Gigi pouted, his whiskers bristling. You're fine. I'll brush your fur till it shines. You'll be all fresh. Gigi sniffed. Fresh cat? Don't talk about it like you're going to cook me. You're not the only one coming of age, you know. You're right. I'm sorry. KiKi held back a laugh and looked into Gigi's eyes. I wonder how it will feel to leave. I bet you'll cry. No, I won't. By the way, when are you finally planning to do it? Gigi looked up at her again. Seems like we're ready, so we can leave pretty much any time. Want to make it the next night with a full moon? What? The next one? Yeah, in 5 more days. Doesn't it feel good to do something right when you decide? I'll tell Mom and Dad tonight. I wonder what kind of town we'll end up in, Gigi. KiKi looked into the distance with a new grown-up gleam in her eye. I don't know, I'm a bit worried, to be honest, since you're so quick with your decisions. Oh, I'm not worried at all. We can worry about things once they happen. Right now, I'm excited. It's like opening a present, she said breathlessly, and poked the broom. It swung back and forth as if it were nodding to her. After dinner that evening, KiKi stood with Gigi before Kokiri and Okino. You don't need to worry. I've decided when I'm going. Kokiri leaped out of her chair. Well, really? When will it be? The next night with a full moon. Kokiri ran her eyes over the calendar on the wall, bewildered. What? But that's only 5 days away. You should wait until the next one. KiKi frowned and scrunched her shoulders. See, there you go again. You get mad if I dilly-dally, but then you complain when I actually decide. She's right, dear. It's not quite fair, said Okino. Sure, but there's so much to get ready. It's a lot of work for a mother, too. Flustered, Kokiri turned red. KiKi leaned into her face, shook her hips, and sang. Believe in your daughter. Believe. I'm already ready. Right, Gigi? He twitched his tail in reply. What? Kokiri's jaw dropped, and she lowered her eyes. What do you mean you're ready? What did you do? I made a new broom. Gigi helped. Hold on. I'll go get it. KiKi opened the door and raced outside. Here it is. She was back in no time, showing Kokiri and Okino the broom she'd hidden by the shed. Oh, nicely done. Okino smiled. I soaked willow branches in the river and then left them in the sun. I did a good job, right, Mom? KiKi swung the broom to show it off. Kokiri slowly shook her head. It's a beautiful broom, but you can't use it. Why not? I don't want to use that little broom I've had until now. Flying is the only magic thing I can do. So I at least want to fly on a nice new broom. If flying is the only magic thing you can do, doesn't that make your broom that much more important? What will you do if you have trouble flying on something you've never ridden before? Your start is critical. Coming of age isn't so easy. Kokiri shook her head again and continued. We can only give you a little money. enough to eat for a year if you really keep your expenses down. After that, a witch has to survive on her magic. During this year, you need to figure out how to make a living. Like how I prove myself useful to the townspeople by making medicine. Go with my broom. It's broken in, and you already know how to fly with it. Oh, I don't want to. It's all dirty and black, like it's been used to clean a chimney. And the handle is so thick and heavy, it's clunky. Don't you think, Gigi? Gigi watched from near her feet and let out an exaggerated purr. See, Gigi agrees with me. He says a black cat riding that broom will get mistaken for a rain cloud. But on a willow broom, he'll look like a prince in a glass carriage. I don't know what to do with the two of you, Kokiri exclaimed. You're still a child, aren't you? Brooms aren't toys, you know. At some point my broom will get too old, and then you can use whatever you like. By then, I'm sure you'll be a full-fledged witch. Kokiri suddenly closed her eyes, as if she was trying to think of something. KiKi pouted and tapped the broom on the floor. But what about the broom I made? I'll use it instead. No problem with that, is there? KiKi glanced at her broom for a few moments, but then looked up and said, Fine, but let me pick my dress. I saw a pretty one in a shop on Main Street with a floral pattern. If I wear that, I'll look like a flying flower. I'm sorry, but you can't do that either. Kokiri had a serious expression on her face again. These days, witches don't have to wear a pointy hat and a long cape, but the color of our clothes has always been the blackest black. That can't be changed. That made KiKi sulk even more. It's so old-fashioned. A black witch with a black cat. Black, black, black. Well, of course it's old-fashioned. We come from old witch blood. Besides, black never goes out of style. Leave it to me. I'll make one in a hurry. This old blood thing again, KiKi mumbled, pouting. KiKi, don't get too hung up on appearances. It's your heart that's important. Mom, I know that. I'll handle my heart. No one can see that, though. KiKi turned her resigned face to Okino. Dad, you'll give me a radio, won't you? I want to listen to music while I fly. I'd really like a red radio. All right, all right. He nodded with a smile. Kokiri smiled, then abruptly turned to her daughter. Okay, that's enough for tonight. Good night, KiKi. And with her right hand, she used the hem of her apron to dab her eyes. Every evening the moon grew bigger and bigger, until the night it was finally full. KiKi's coming-of-age day had arrived. That evening, when the sun started sinking in the west, KiKi put on the black dress her mother had made for her. She turned this way and that in the mirror, making it a whole production. Gigi, by her feet, wasn't about to be left out. He peeked into the mirror from the side, then stretched and curled his body. Soon they were both astride Kokiri's broom, posing in profile. "Okay, you two, haven't you primped enough?" Kokiri called to them as she bustled around. "Have a look at the western sky. There's barely any sunset left." "Mom, can you make the skirt just a little shorter?" KiKi asked, hiking it up and standing on her tiptoes. "Why? It looks good on you. I think it would be cuter if you could actually see my feet. This way is much more graceful. It's better to look mild-mannered. Of course, some people complain about witches, no matter what you do. Now then, here's your lunch." Kokiri patted KiKi's shoulder and set a little bundle down next to her. "I used herbs so it won't go bad as fast. Don't eat it all in one place. I remember my mom did a great job making my coming-of-age lunch. She cast some spell on the herbs in the bread that kept it from going bad, or even stale. It's a shame we don't know how to do that anymore." "That seems like the sort of thing that would be easy to pass on, though," Okino chimed in, coming in from his study with a book in his hand. "I wonder why it disappeared. Maybe that's just the nature of magic. It's strange that I'm a witch and even I don't know. Some say it's because there's no such thing as a completely dark night or perfect silence anymore. If there's a light on, or if there's even a tiny noise, we get distracted and can't get our magic to work. Certainly compared to ancient times, it's gotten a lot brighter," Okino said. "Nowadays there's always a light on somewhere. Yes, the world sure has changed." Kokiri nodded, but KiKi, looking in the mirror, had a different idea. You think that's why?" KiKi turned around with a dissatisfied frown. "I don't think it's the world's fault that magic has disappeared. Maybe people hold themselves back too much." "Mom, aren't you always saying that witches must be quiet and modest? I hate the idea of living my life constantly worrying about what people will say. I'm going to do whatever I want." "Oh, that's quite a declaration." Okino's eyes widened dramatically. "Listen, KiKi," Kokiri said. "In the past, it wasn't just us witches. All sorts of people had mysterious powers. But most regular people connected these gifts to bad things in their heads. They believed our powers would bring terrible luck. That could be true." Okino nodded thoughtfully. "It was. You always heard about how witches made mold grow in fresh milk, but that was simply a way to make a special kind of cheese. And now look. Today everyone eats that same cheese." As she spoke, Kokiri looked at KiKi with concern. Witches were able to survive in that sort of world because we forged a give-and-take relationship with everyone else. Sometimes we hold back, but we also help each other out however we can. I think it was a good thing. Because of this, there are even people like your dad who research witches and fairies to gain a better understanding of us. Was that a compliment? What an honor. Okino jokily bowed. Oh my goodness, it's pitch dark outside. Kokiri stood up and clapped her hands. The moon will be out soon. We need to hurry up and eat. No more time for these complicated conversations. Full moon nights are bright, Okino said, so they should be good for leaving on a journey. But according to my research, the data also shows a 50-50 chance of rain on days witches have come of age. That's just the luck of the draw. Tonight seems like it'll be fine. The air is so clear. KiKi, are you really ready to go? Skillfully evading Okino's grumbles, Kokiri began to bustle around the room again. I hope you find somewhere nice to live. Okino looked KiKi in the eye. But KiKi, you can't get impatient and settle without giving your choice proper thought, Kokiri called. I know. All you guys do is worry. It's not as if she's going to another planet, Okino said, trying to cheer both Kokiri and KiKi up. It's just a different town, and after a year you can come back home for a celebratory visit. Kokiri stood before KiKi again with a serious expression on her face. KiKi, I know I'm harping on this, but please choose your town carefully. Think twice about picking one that seems nice, just because it's lively or has lots of shops. Big cities are often full of busy people who don't have time to care about anyone else. And when you arrive, don't be shy. Make sure to smile. You have to gain people's trust. I know, Mom. I'll be fine. Don't worry. KiKi nodded repeatedly, then turned to Okino. Hey, Dad, do you remember when you used to hold me up high? You would put your hands under my arms and lift me up and down. Could you do it one more time? She looked down quickly, a little embarrassed. Sure, Okino replied with extra pep. He put his hands under her arms and tried to lift her. Phew. You're heavy. When did you get so big? Let me try one more time. He staggered a bit, but managed to raise her. I'm up. But it tickles. KiKi squirmed and laughed. Through the living room window, the light of the full moon poured over Mount Green in the east, just as they had expected. I guess I should get going. KiKi had planned on saying a proper goodbye, but all that came out was that simple line. She slung her bag over her shoulder and grabbed the broom that had been standing next to her. With her other hand, she picked up the red radio her father had bought for her. Then she looked at Gigi, who who sat obediently at her feet. Okay, say goodbye. Gigi stood and looked up at Okino and Kokiri. We're counting on you, Gigi, said Kokiri. Well, Mom, I'll write a letter as soon as I get there. If it doesn't go well, you can always come home, added Okino. That's not happening, KiKi hurriedly replied. Don't start going easy on her now. Kokiri shot a soft glare at Okino. When Okino opened the door, voices shouting congrats came flying in. 10 townspeople were waiting at the gate. KiKi was so surprised, she didn't know what to say. You knew she was leaving tonight? Kokiri asked hoarsely. We can't let our little KiKi leave without saying goodbye. And it's something to celebrate. Come back and ring the bells now and then. Bring us stories. Oh, thanks everybody. KiKi finally managed to squeeze that much out, then lifted Gigi to hide her crumpling face. I'm glad the weather's good, Okino said quietly, looking up at the sky. After exchanging goodbye after goodbye, KiKi hung her radio from the front of her broom, sat Gigi on the back, and jumped on. Once the broom was hovering, she turned around. Take care, Mom, she said to Kokiri from a few feet above. If she flew any closer, she knew they would both end up crying. Kokiri's usual scolding voice sounded after her, followed by a burst of laughter from the townspeople. KiKi was relieved that her mom remained the same, even on this special occasion. After one final goodbye, she rocketed into the air. Gradually, everyone's waving hands below grew harder to see, and all the lights of the town twinkled like a starry night, turned upside down. The full moon hung in the sky, watching over KiKi. Eventually, even the lights of the town faded, and all she could see below were mountains shaped like the dark backs of animals. Hurry up and decide which way we're going, Gigi prodded behind her. KiKi looked in all 4 directions, flustered. South. I want to go south. I heard that if you keep going south, you eventually reach the sea. And I want to see the sea at least once. Is that all right with you, Gigi? Am I allowed to say no? Please don't, she yelled, and shook the broom a bit. Then why ask me at all? Gigi huffed. Anyway, we're looking for a town, not the sea, remember? Okay, south, south. She looked here and there, then sighed with relief. It's this way. The moon is on my left, so there's no mistake. With a whistle, she accelerated, flying faster and faster. The wind blowing past her grew stronger, and the bristles of her broom sounded like a running river. Now and then she saw a scattering of lights between the dark mountains. Sometimes she came upon gray-colored fields, but that didn't happen very often. Mostly it was mountain after mountain. KiKi flew on and on. Faintly, the eastern sky began to grow lighter. Then bright light spread rapidly, chasing the darkness away. And the world that had been gray and navy burst into all sorts of colors. The hills were carpeted in the gentle greens of spring and looked light enough to float into the air. Pointy, rocky mountain peaks gleamed dewily. KiKi's heart pounded. She was impressed that a single ray of sun could make the world this beautiful. In a small valley, she saw a village with trails of smoke rising from chimneys. Before long, she found a narrow stream glittering between the mountains. Sometimes it snaked out of sight before showing itself again, growing bigger and bigger as it went on. "Let's try flying along this river," she suggested. Rivers supposedly end at the sea. KiKi flicked on her radio and whistled along to the music. Her broom was catching a favorable breeze and cruising at a nice pace. "You know, Mom was saying big cities can be hard, but I really don't want to live in a tiny town," KiKi said to herself. "Then, what kind of town sounds good?" GG raised his voice over the wind and the radio. "One bigger than Mom's, with tall buildings, a zoo, and a station with trains coming and going. Oh, and an amusement park. What about you, Gigi? You're awfully greedy. As long as I have a sunny roof, and a sunny bay window, and a sunny hallway." "Are you cold?" KiKi interjected. "Yeah, a little." "Then come over here. Don't be afraid to tell me what you need. It's just us two now," she said, taking Gigi from where he clung to her back and putting him in her lap. "Hey, KiKi, how about that town?" Gigi asked after a while, abruptly poking his head out. The town directly below them was shaped like a round dish and surrounded by pretty green hills. From above, the clusters of orange and green roofs looked like carrots and peas in a soup. "Seems nice," KiKi said. "This type of place is probably good to live in, you know," Gigi said, putting on a knowledgeable air. "But isn't it kind of small? Wait, look over there." KiKi suddenly pointed with a shout. Far below was a little black dot that seemed to be coming toward them. When she took a closer look, she realized it was a witch with a black cat on her shoulder. But this witch flew in herks and jerks, as if she were riding an unruly horse. "Let's go say hello." KiKi aimed her body down. Oh, still herking and jerking, the other witch widened her eyes when she saw KiKi. Age-wise, she could have been KiKi's big sister. "Well, it's been quite a while since I met one of my own. Where did you come from? Who it be that today is your special day?" the witch said, looking KiKi up and down. "That's right. I just left last night. You could tell." KiKi steered her broom to fly alongside her. "Of course I can tell. You look so dressed up, and your face is all tense. I was just like you once." "I'm tense, huh? I thought I was pretty relaxed." But KiKi giggled. "When did you come of age?" "Almost exactly a year ago." "How do you like this town?" KiKi pointed below. "I'm finally used to it." "It was pretty tough." Worried, KiKi looked away. "It wasn't so bad." The big sister witch shrugged proudly, and dimples appeared in her cheeks. She had a kind face. KiKi remembered Kokiri's advice about smiling. "So that's the face I need. What do you do for a living?" "I'm a fortune teller with my cat Poo Poo here. I can tell how people are feeling, and I have a reputation for being right. They might just be flattering me, but, well, the townspeople are friendly. Nice. And you get to go visit your parents soon, right?" "Yeah, that's right. I can return with my head held high, so I'm satisfied. It may not look like it, but things are hard sometimes." "I believe it. Seems like your broom is broken too." The big sister witch laughed. "It's not. I'm just bad at flying. But if you don't fly every now and then, you start to forget you're a witch, and even who you are at all. Anyway, today I'm going to a ranch over the mountain because one of their cows is in a bad mood. That's why I'm up and out so early this morning. It's not really fortune telling, but... Wow, you're going to see a cow?" The trick to working as a witch is to take every job. This cow is a little strange, almost like a human. The other day, she was complaining that she didn't like the sound of the bell around her neck. "Wow, how spoiled," KiKi laughed. "Maybe she's into music, changing her bell and singing to her for a bit. Put her in a better mood. And the owner of this cow treats me to the most delicious cheese as a thank you. It smells so good, and when you grill it, it gets all stretchy and gooey. I'm really looking forward to having some more." "It's great that things seem to be going so well for you. I'm jealous." "You'll do fine. You're cute like me, and you seem fairly smart like me too. Plus, you're good at flying. You do seem a bit on the feisty side. But, well, I'm sure you'll do your best. Anyhow, I'm in a hurry. So see you." The big sister witch waved and herked and jerked off into the distance. "She was pretty braggy," Gigi said in a low voice. "But she complimented me." "Maybe, but her cat was so aloof. He didn't even say hello, just acted all smug because he's a little older." "Oh, so you wanted to talk to him, Gigi?" If you felt that way, you should have said something. Well, it's not like I wanted to, KiKi muttered. Anyhow, I've got my own things to figure out. KiKi speedily reversed and continued her journey. As she flew on, she passed a few towns that seemed nice. Each time, KiKi would prod. Why not make up your mind now? But KiKi insisted on going to the sea. Just a bit farther, only a little, she kept repeating. Eventually, there were fewer mountains, and in their place, more fields, villages, and towns began to appear. By this point, the river was wide and flowed in big twists and turns. KiKi and KiKi's little shadow across the water looked just like a fish swimming below the surface. Oh, isn't that the sea? KiKi shouted. KiKi had been distracted by the view below. But when she looked up, she saw a line of light off in the distance, separating the blue sky from the water. Yeah, that's the sea for sure. You noticed it right away. What, so it's just a big puddle? KiKi seemed dissatisfied. No, it's amazing. It's wonderful, isn't it? KiKi shouted in utter delight as she gazed as far as her eyes could see up and down the coast. Suddenly, she noticed a town right where the river emptied into the sea. A town. Oh, look, a big bridge, she shouted again. Oh, a train, KiKi exclaimed at the same time. Let's check it out. KiKi sped ahead on her broom. When they were closer, she realized the town was even bigger than she thought. Tall buildings, both box-shaped and triangular, jutted toward the sky. KiKi took a sweeping look around and exclaimed, "This is the place." You don't think it's too big? KiKi seemed a little worried. Remember what Kokiri said? To think twice about big, busy towns. I like it here. Look, see that over there? She pointed at a clock tower near the center of town, a tower so tall it seemed like a ladder to the heavens. Wouldn't it be fun to grab that and twirl this place like a spinning top? Its shadow stretches so far, it's like the whole town is a sundial. KiKi peered down with starry eyes. You seem awfully excited, KiKi said. But there could be a witch already living here, like that other town before. Well, we won't know until we land and ask. KiKi sharply angled her broomstick down and landed lightly on one of the town's roads. On the ground, the streets were bustling with afternoon shoppers. When KiKi jumped onto the cobblestones with a thud, everyone was startled. Some people seemed scared and fled, while others hid behind someone else. Soon KiKi was surrounded by a wall of people. She hurriedly took the broom out from between her legs, placed KiKi on her shoulder, and put on a cheerful smile. I'm KiKi, and I'm a witch. Oh, a witch, huh? One older woman said, "You're a rare breed these days." The woman adjusted the glasses on her nose and stared. "So there's no witch in this town?" "Phew. Well, as I was saying, I'm KiKi the witch. And this is my black cat, Gigi. I'll make myself at home," she said as she looked around at everyone, and then curtsied more carefully than usual. "Make yourself at home? You mean here in the town of Koriko?" A man chimed in. "Who made that decision?" a woman exclaimed. "Was it that new mayor?" At this point, everyone was exchanging glances with the people next to them and chatting among themselves. Is there anything good about having a witch around? Isn't it kind of strange to go flying about the sky in this day and age? They say there used to be one here long ago, but we've been fine without one all this time. Mommy, witches use magic, right? Seems cool. They do outrageous things. You'll get scared. Do you have some wicked plot? As KiKi listened to all the comments, which couldn't really be called kind, her chest tightened. Even so, she tried to be confident. Smile, smile, she thought. She needed to come up with a reply. "I'd love to live in this town. It's pretty and I like the clock tower," KiKi complimented them. "Well, it's great that you've taken a liking to the town, but we don't want any trouble. Whatever floats your boat." Once everyone was satisfied, having had their say, they scattered every which way and disappeared back into the town. All KiKi's energy had disappeared, leaving her discouraged. When she had heard that the city didn't have a witch, she'd hoped the townspeople would find her interesting and welcome her. But now, the exhaustion from flying since morning on an empty stomach hit her, and she felt like sinking into a pit. The people from KiKi's hometown were happy to live near a witch. They valued her family, and even said kind things like witches are like oil for your gears, and having a witch around brings life to the town. Every day someone was stopping by offering something tasty, saying, "I just had a little extra." And naturally, KiKi and her family gave back. They shared Kokiri's sneeze medicine, taught the townspeople the names of traditional herbs, played cat's cradle with elderly folks who lived alone, delivered lost and forgotten items by broom. It was a give-and-take lifestyle, just as Kokiri said. That was how it had been, ever since KiKi was born. So this whatever floats your boat attitude was strange. After all, KiKi was new to town and she had just come of age. How was she supposed to float her boat? KiKi moved to the side of the road and trudged along sadly, dragging her broom. It's just like Kokiri said. Big towns are no good, Gigi murmured into her ear from where he was, still perched on her shoulder. KiKi nodded slowly so her tears wouldn't overflow. "What should we do?" she whispered, petting Gigi. Things will work out somehow. He flicked his tail back and forth with extra energy. It was almost nighttime. KiKi still had plenty of the food from Kokiri left, but she wasn't sure what to do about a place to sleep, even if she had money for an inn. Was there a place in this town that would let her stay? Her confidence shattered. KiKi helplessly roamed the streets. Shh, Gigi abruptly shouted, trying to cheer KiKi up. Witches have gotten so wimpy. In the olden days, everybody in this place would have had to watch their backs. An old-school witch would have picked the whole town up by the clock tower and stuck it on a mountain somewhere. KiKi shrugged slightly and said nothing. She wasn't sure where they were going, but after wandering for a while, they found themselves on a narrow street. Instead of tall buildings, it was lined with little houses that seemed to lean over the road. At some point, the sun had set, and the shops on either side had closed their doors. From the clinking of dishes and laughter that echoed on the other side of the windows, it sounded like dinner time. Suddenly, she heard a woman's high-pitched voice coming from inside a half-closed bakery. Oh goodness, that lady forgot something awfully important. Dear, go and take this to her. Why don't you? KiKi thought perhaps the woman was talking to her and stopped. But soon after, she heard a man's voice. Awfully important? What are you fussing about? It's just the baby's pacifier. It's not as if she forgot the baby. I've got a get-together tonight. I'll run it over in the morning. But I'm telling you, that's not good enough. She's a very good customer. She comes from so far away with her baby in tow to buy our butter rolls. You say it's just a pacifier, but to a baby it's important, as important as your pipe is to you. The poor thing won't be able to sleep tonight. If you're not going, then I will. The woman who must have been the owner of the bakery came out from behind the door. The man shouted after her, "Hey, you can't do that. Cross the big river in your condition." KiKi saw the woman had a huge tummy, like a baby might be born at any minute. A rubber pacifier was clenched in her hand. Turning around, the woman called, "Then, are you going to go for me?" "Tomorrow I will," the man replied. She stuck her chin out. "You're going to be a father soon yourself. I can't believe my baby will have such a grump for a dad." After shouting at him, she gathered her protruding belly in her hands and set off walking. Her shoulders swayed back and forth, and her breath came roughly. Without thinking, KiKi called out after her, "Excuse me. If you don't mind me going, I'll deliver it for you." The woman turned around and backed up a couple of steps. Then she gave KiKi a quick look. head to toe. You're such a young lady, but you're wearing black clothes and carrying a broom. Are you a chimney sweep? No, actually, I just came to this town. And I'm a witch, KiKi said nervously. The lady ran her eyes over KiKi again. You don't say? Wow, a witch, huh? I've heard about them before, but it's my first time seeing one. She heaved a sigh. But are you pulling my leg? You must be from a theater troupe or something, right? KiKi hurriedly shook her head. No, I'm really a witch. So if you need something delivered, I can do it easy peasy. Please, let me help you, she offered politely. A real witch, you say? Well, delivering it will be a bit of a trip. Is that all right with you? Sure, I don't mind going any distance. Although if it's too far north, it's not up by the North Pole, is it? My dress isn't very warm, and I don't have a cape. The lady burst out laughing. I think I like you. So you'll do it then? Yes, of course. KiKi smiled and nodded. Then she suddenly grew worried. Ma'am? Don't ma'am me. The lady put her palms up to ward off the formality. I'm a baker, and the name's Osono. Then, Mrs. Osono, I'm going to fly it over. Is that all right? Now you're going over the top. You don't need to take an airplane. No, I'm going to take my broom. What? Osono cocked her head and worked her mouth open and closed until she could finally utter, This sure is a strange day. Then she shook her head clear and said, You can be a witch or a scarecrow. You can fly or swim. It's all fine by me. I don't like to make things too complicated. What's important right now is delivering the pacifier. Hearing you say that puts me at ease. KiKi grinned. Gigi waved his tail charmingly from her shoulder. If that's the case, then let's get this done as soon as we can, Osono said, digging around in the pocket of her apron. I'll draw you a map. Also, it's not that I don't trust you, but once you've delivered it, have the baby's mother write her name on this. When you bring it back, I'll be waiting with something to thank you. Wonderful, KiKi shouted. Then she took the map and the pacifier, mounted her broom, kicked off the ground, and climbed into the sky. You really are a witch, huh? KiKi heard Osono's surprised voice at her back as she flew away. When KiKi arrived with the pacifier, the baby was wailing. But once his mother popped the pacifier in, he smiled. The baby's mother was very appreciative and signed the map at KiKi's request. You really helped me out, she said, and thanked KiKi over and over. KiKi felt incredible as she flew back to the bakery. And hearing that, she had really helped breathed new hope into her discouraged heart. You know, she told Gigi, I'm feeling all right. So you can feel better too. he sniffed. Geez, I'm starving all of a sudden. Me too. KiKi reached out and patted Gigi's stomach as they continued on her broom. Once this errand is done, let's go find a tree to sit under and eat the lunch Mom packed for us. But only a little. We have to make it last. I'm glad the moon is shining so bright tonight. Osono the baker was still standing in the same place KiKi left her, looking up at the sky with her mouth hanging open. Once KiKi quietly landed, Osono blurted, "Flying really is handy, huh? Will you please teach me how?" "That's impossible. If you don't have witch blood in you, you won't be able to fly." "Oh," Osono said disappointedly. "But we don't know for sure that I don't. What do you think? Do I look part witch?" She let her belly go, then spread her arms and flapped them like bird wings. KiKi looked away and laughed a little. "As I thought, it seems you're not a witch." "As you thought? How can you tell?" "I just can, I suppose." "Well, that's no fun. But you're right. It's probably impossible. I never heard anything about my grandma or any great-grandmas being witches. Anyway, how was the baby?" KiKi handed her the map with the mother's signature. He was crying, but he cheered up right away. "It made me happy too." "That's great. Okay then, Miss Witch. I need to thank you. Please call me KiKi. And I don't need anything in return. I'm happy to have met someone so nice. That's more than enough. Like I said, I just arrived in town." "My, how humble," Osono said. "Well, I'm sorry, I only have the things that didn't sell today, but..." She handed KiKi a bag holding 5 butter rolls. "Ooh, these look delicious." "I'm happy to take them," KiKi said breathlessly. Then she gave a polite curtsy and turned to go. "Hey, Miss Witch. Your name is KiKi, you said. You just got to this town, right? Where are you staying?" KiKi turned around, cuddling Gigi, and lowered her eyes. "Surely you have somewhere to stay," Osono demanded. KiKi remained silent. "What? You have to speak up about things like that. In that case, use the 2nd floor of our flower house. It's small, but it has a bed and running water." "Really?" KiKi shouted, squeezing Gigi without thinking. "If you don't like it, you can look for a better place tomorrow." "Oh, I definitely won't do that. Thank you so much. But are you sure it's all right? I'm a witch, and it seems people in this town don't like us very much." KiKi hung her head again, but Osono took her chin in her hand, brought her head up, and gave her a wink. "I've taken a shine to you. Don't worry. Plus, I think there's something a little bit wonderful about having a witch stay at our place." The flower house, which was right next to the bakery, really was a flower storehouse. and it seemed completely coated in the white powder. After KiKi and GiGi relaxed and ate some of their food, they crawled into bed, exhausted. I might be a white cat by tomorrow. GiGi looked himself over and sneezed. But look, GiGi, there's a bay window that will get a lot of sun, just like you wanted. After such a long trip, KiKi was relieved. Hey KiKi, should we look for a different town tomorrow? GiGi asked. I think I'm going to stay here a little longer. I wasn't welcomed exactly as I hoped. But the baker likes me, right? There might be another person who does too, don't you think? Well, yeah. There might even be 3. As quickly as GiGi answered, he was soon snoring the even breaths of sleep. 3 days had passed since KiKi the witch moved to the town of Koriko. Taking full advantage of Osono's offer to stay as long as she liked, KiKi holed up in the flower house. She sat in a daze on the edge of the bed, sometimes eating bits of the leftover lunch from her mother, or the bread from Osono, even though she didn't have much appetite. As if her nerves were contagious, GiGi was glued to her side. Today, KiKi needed to go out to buy food, but she couldn't get herself to leave her room. The unending clamor of the city and the sight of the busy-looking people hurrying past her window scared her. Everything in this town seemed to operate in a mechanical way. The night she delivered the pacifier, she had regained a bit of confidence. But by the next day, those feelings had completely vanished. All morning, KiKi repeated half-hearted excuses in her head. Well, because she could stay in the town and pretend to be human. Or if she swallowed her pride, she could even go home. But then, I'll be just like a snail stuck in my shell my whole life. Apologies to snails, but I don't want to be like that. Kokiri's broom stood in the corner of her room, and KiKi stared at it with one hand on her chest. I need to find a job I can do. It's just like Mom said. In a big city, everyone is busy. And here I am in the middle of one. I delivered that pacifier. Maybe I can do more tasks like that. I'm good at flying, and there might be lots of people who don't have time to run a little errand. As she thought about this, KiKi started to perk up. So, when Osono came to check on her, she asked for advice on her new idea. Deliver things? You mean like a transportation service? Osono asked, not quite understanding. Yes, but the things I transport wouldn't be big enough to call cargo exactly. Just lots of little things, sort of casual. Like, people could ask me for favors, the same way they might ask their neighbor. That could be something. Come to think of it, that would help me out. Once the baby is born, it'll be hard for me to run even a quick errand. Yeah, I think this'll be good. Osono leaned closer. But for such small things, it'll be difficult to set prices. What's your plan? Oh, just a little of whatever people have is fine. What do you mean? Sharing whatever you have. That's how we get by as witches. We make ourselves useful to people with whatever skills we have. And in return, people share what they have with us. It's what you call give and take. Without even realizing it, KiKi was starting to sound like Kokiri. Oh, now that you mention it, Osono said. I've heard of that before. But that won't be enough, will it? It will. Witches don't need much. You can see how simple my clothes are. And I don't eat a lot. My plan is to just accept that if I don't have something, I probably don't need it. So that's how you'll make this work? Osono nodded, impressed. Then you'll need a storefront, huh? Yes, something small. Even just a sign that says courier or something. How about here? The first floor of the flower house, Osono offered. I can organize our things into one corner. What? Are you sure? Well, it might be too small, but it's smart to start small. Then you'll have the fun of watching your business grow. Osono seemed so excited. It was almost as if she were the one opening the shop. Once you've decided, it's best to get going right away. But courier might not be the best name. Sounds too much like worrier. I think you can just call it a delivery service. I've heard that before. Or something like speedy home deliveries, because you deliver right to people's homes in a timely fashion. Also, since you're the one doing the deliveries, you should add your name, KiKi's Delivery Service. Sounds good, right? Do you think including my name is a smart idea? Don't be so modest. Having a unique name is best. Take a look at ours: rock, paper, pastries, sticks in your head. That's one trick to doing business. Osono eyed KiKi and nodded confidently. The next day, Osono happily gave birth to a baby girl. KiKi was very busy helping with the bakery and looking after Osono, so prepping her shop was pushed off. Still, 10 days later, she was ready to open. She washed the flowery front wall and hung up a sign: KiKi's Delivery Service. I deliver anything door to door faster than anybody else. Call 1-800-KiKi-CAN. The cute phone number was Osono's idea. KiKi and Gigi kept going outside to look up at the sign. We're already open, so I guess there's no point in worrying now, KiKi murmured to herself. That's right. Gigi did his best to be encouraging. Now, where's that girl who was so excited about coming of age? Inside, KiKi had everything she needed to run her shop, thanks to Osono's husband. He had moved all the bags of flour into a corner, and built her a desk out of bricks and boards near the entrance. He put a brand new red telephone on top and hung a big map of Koriko on the wall facing it. They polished the pillar people would see when they first walked into the shop till it shone. And then she hung her mother's broom there. Looking at it, she thought, I'm glad I didn't bring that new slender broom. I have enough worries without flying on a stranger. A whole week went by without a single customer. When KiKi went to visit the baby, Osono apologized. Maybe using your name wasn't a good idea. I'm sorry. This is all my fault. Word travels fast here, and apparently some people heard you're a witch. Unfortunately, they worry you'll put a spell on their packages, and they'll transform or disappear. I'm sure if they hired you once, they'd be hooked. If I could be out and about, I would help you. It's all right. I'm sure people will come around soon. KiKi forced a smile. But when she sat at her desk, she was so upset she forgot to eat lunch. It makes me so sad, she told Gigi. Why do they assume witches will do something wicked? Because they don't know better, he replied with a mature air. It's nothing you can fix. It's true, they really have no idea. Witches have never done anything wrong. They might be different, but humans are so quick to decide that anything they don't understand is evil. I thought that was an old-fashioned idea, but so you have to show them. In other words, you need to advertise. Advertise? How? Maybe write lots of letters. What kind of letters? Explaining how you're a cute, helpful little witch. That might work. KiKi finally brightened up a bit. I guess I'll try it. She stood and opened the window, and a gentle spring breeze blew in, as if it had been waiting for the chance. When it brushed her face, all the tense feelings inside her melted away. She took a slow look around, like a mole that had just come out of its burrow, blinking in the sunlight. All the houses across the street had their windows wide open too. Their curtains were tied back, allowing the sun to stream in. She heard the sound of a radio on the breeze, and then someone's voice calling out. Suddenly her eyes landed on the window of a building. A short way down the street, a young lady was waving her hands. Here, over here, come over, she motioned insistently. And no matter how KiKi looked at it, the gesture was directed at her. Me? She asked, pointing at herself. Yes, the lady nodded. KiKi quickly took in the view and counted. The lady was in a room on the second floor, 4 buildings over. When KiKi went inside and up the stairs, a door was already open. So she assumed she had the right place, in the apartment. The waving lady stood in front of a mirror and was putting on a red hat with one hand and holding a sky blue suitcase in the other. "Oh, come in, come in." She spoke rapidly when she noticed KiKi in the reflection. "I heard about you from the baker. You deliver things?" "Yes, I do." She said, "You fly?" "Yes." KiKi lowered her eyes, worried the lady was going to complain. She said, "All you need in return is a little something." "You sure are adorable, though. I always thought witches had fangs and horns." She sounded surprised, but her expression was bored. KiKi nearly shouted, "That's not a nice thing to say," but managed to catch herself. The woman must have noticed her reaction. "Sorry, it's just that we've never had a witch in this town, you know. At least, I haven't seen one before. And they're always so scary in stories. By the way, how much counts as a little something? If you fly, it must be expensive." "No, just a little of whatever you have is enough." "Whatever I have? Half of what?" "I mean, I'm a seamstress, so I could halve the length of your skirt. I'm taking up and letting down hems all the time." The lady turned around for the first time and looked KiKi up and down, wrinkling her nose. Then she shook her head, clucking her tongue in disapproval. "That dress is cute, but it's a bit long, isn't it? The style these days is to show your knees." "Ah, yes, that's the perfect trade. I'll be back in 3 days, and then I'll take your hem up." "Why don't we have that be your fee?" "I don't even know what I'm delivering yet. And you're already deciding the fee?" KiKi stood there frowning a little. The lady looked in the mirror and pinned on her hat, then spoke even faster than before. "I got called by a client far away and have to race over there. Once she decides she wants a dress, she needs me to come right away, so impatient." The lady pointed at a birdcage covered in white lace, sitting on a table. "This is a present for my nephew's 5th birthday, and I'd like you to deliver it for me." He said he wanted a new birdcage and a stuffed toy. He made me promise I'd deliver it today by 4 o'clock. If it's even a little late, he said he'll make me do 94 headstands. Just try doing that many. You'll forget which end is your head and which is your feet. There's only an hour left. Don't be late. I'm begging you. The address is 10 Apricot Street. If you go up the river, it's the road behind the big flower shop on the outskirts of town. The name, they'll understand if you say Buzzcut Buster. Okay, thanks in advance. When she'd finished her mile-a-minute explanation, she rushed KiKi out of the apartment, handing her the covered birdcage with the stuffed toy, and then left herself. KiKi flipped up the lace and looked inside the cage. "Oh, Gigi, he looks just like you. How adorable." Sitting on a silver cushion inside the cage was a stuffed black cat with a mint green ribbon tied in a big bow around its neck. KiKi put her broomstick through the handle of the birdcage so it was positioned right behind her, and her radio. "Keep a close eye on it," she told Gigi as she sat him on the broom's bristles. Then she zoomed off. "Been a while since I've flown," KiKi exclaimed. "It feels so good." The sun was already shining brightly in the western part of the sky. Now and then, the wind flipped up the lace covering the cage, and Gigi stared in. "Look at him, wearing a ribbon, all fancy-like," he grumbled. Then, a moment later, he muttered to himself, perched on that thing. "Oh, do you want a cat cushion too?" KiKi turned around and smiled at him. "How are you jealous of a stuffed animal that can't even move around?" Gigi ignored her and slowly crept closer to the cage. Then he extended a paw and pulled it closer with his claws. The broom jolted with a wobble. "No! Hold still!" KiKi yelled. Gigi pricked his ears up and pulled his paw back to his mouth. "Gigi, do you want to go in the cage? Seriously? I mean, it's so pretty." "Ugh, Gigi. Sometimes I can't believe we're the same age." She smiled at how ridiculous he was being. The broom began to fly smoothly again. But as if he had been waiting for that moment, Gigi swiftly clawed the door open and tried to climb into the cage. The broom wobbled horribly. "Eek!" KiKi rushed to grab the broom, but before she had the chance, the stuffed cat spilled out of the open cage. Oh no. It didn't matter if she screamed or reached out her hand. It was too late. The stuffed toy spun like a black pinwheel as it fell from the sky. KiKi immediately swooped after it. The leafy green forest below grew closer and closer until KiKi plunged in, tree branches whipping her body. Eventually she found a little clearing and touched down. Then she got straight to searching, waving her broom to look through the bushes and tall grasses as she walked along. But she couldn't find the cat. The forest was huge, and the trees were covered in soft leaves. If the toy had gotten caught in the canopy of tangled branches above, she would never be able to find it. On top of that, the stuffed animal was light, so the wind could have blown it in an entirely different direction. KiKi wanted to cry. That lady had believed in her, though it was the first time they'd met, and trusted her with this important delivery. This was KiKi's first customer since the shop opened, and the job was going to end in failure. KiKi glared at Gigi, who was hunched over with guilt. It was almost 4 o'clock. "What am I going to do with you?" Almost immediately she gasped. "Oh, I thought of a great idea. Gigi, you get in the cage instead." Gigi gazed up and backed away, shaking his head. "You were the one who wanted to go inside. Just get in there. We're out of time." KiKi raised her voice and pointed at the cage, her eyebrows angled in a way that meant business. Gigi raced into the cage and sat on the silver cushion, which was still inside. KiKi closed the door and spoke gently. "It's just for a little while. As soon as I find the toy, I'll come back and swap you out." He looked up at her with regret in his eyes. "So I'm a stuffed animal now?" "That's right. I can't meow?" "Nope. Just go to sleep. That'll be the easiest." "Can I breathe?" "As little as possible." "But this is horrible. I'm up against Buzzcut Buster. That lady said he would make her do 94 headstands. You'll be fine. I'll come back for you as soon as I can." Gigi sighed, curled up into a sad little ball, and turned away from KiKi. This time she carefully hung the birdcage in front of her before taking off in a hurry. KiKi flew along the river, checking the names of the streets at each intersection, and she had no trouble finding 10 Apricot Street behind the flower shop. When she rang the doorbell, she heard thudding footsteps. Then the door swung open. Auntie, standing in front of KiKi, was a boy with one bandage on his cheek, one on his nose, 2 on his forehead, and 3 on his knees. "I'm sorry, your aunt couldn't come, but I came in her place. Here are the presents she promised you. Happy birthday." When the boy took the cage, he peered inside right away, and then started jumping up and down, holding it tight. Through a gap in the lace, KiKi could see Gigi bouncing around inside with a grimace on his face. "Oh, hey, KiKi quickly said. "Be nice to the kitty, okay?" "I will. I'll take good care of him. I'll fold him up properly and put him in my pocket." The boy stuck his tongue out. Eep! A pitiful noise sounded from inside the cage. "Well, see you later." KiKi waved to the boy. "Oh, will you have something else for me?" Well, perhaps." And with that, she mounted her broom and raced off. When KiKi returned to the clearing, she realized the forest was actually part of a park. She took another careful walk around the area where the stuffed toy had fallen, but she couldn't find it anywhere. At this rate, she worried Gigi would remain with that Buzzcut Buster forever. He would never come home, even though they had just started life on their own as a pair. Dusk approached, and KiKi leaned against a tree at wit's end. She looked down and clutched the skirt of her dress. "The best option I have is to cut off the hem of my dress and make a stuffed black cat myself. I always wanted a shorter skirt, so I guess it's worth a try." Just then, she faintly heard someone singing. "The bad black is a smoky black. The good black is a black cat black. But the best of all is a witch's black. Blacks come in all different various hues. So come on now, you have to choose." Startled, KiKi whirled around and spotted a cottage beyond the tree she had been leaning against, behind a section of a hedge that had grown wild. cottage window was open, and a woman with her hair tightly pulled back faced away from KiKi, painting a picture. Maybe she saw something. I'll go ask. KiKi made her way through a gap in the hedge and crossed the flowering lawn to approach the house. When she peeked through the window to call out to the woman, she realized that the woman's picture was cat-shaped. With a start, she looked beyond the painting and gasped. It was the stuffed animal she had lost. The woman heard her and turned around. Face to face, they both shrieked. You... Oh, phew. Oh, good. They both sighed in unison. I'm so glad I found it. What? The two eyed each other, puzzled. For me, it's that black cat toy. For me, it's you. A girl in such a wonderful black dress. Their voices overlapped and their sentences meshed into nonsense. For me, it's that black girl Wonder Cat dress toy. KiKi finally composed herself and asked the woman clearly, "Did that stuffed cat fall out of the sky by any chance?" The woman looked at KiKi curiously. I don't know if it rained out of the sky or welled up out of the ground, but I found it in the forest a little while ago. I've been searching for a good black to paint for my exhibition. The real blackest black, you know. If possible, a witch's black. I'm just making do with the stuffed animal for right now. The woman stopped talking, but when she ran her eyes over the broom KiKi was holding, she yelped. Could it be that you're a... Yes, I'm a witch. The moment KiKi responded, the woman practically jumped out the window to grab her hand. If you like, the woman said, I'll give you this cat back. But would you come inside and sit for me? I was even thinking about moving because I heard there hadn't been a witch in this town for ages. And now a witch has come to me. Come and sit. Sit down. KiKi was nearly swept up by the woman's momentum, but she flailed and said, I will, just not right now. If I can have that toy, I'll bring back a real black cat, a witch's black cat. Then you can paint both of us. Really? For sure, KiKi shouted with a nod. Once she had the stuffed toy in hand, she rushed off without looking back. It's a promise then, the woman called after her. By the time KiKi reached Buzzcut Buster's house, it was completely dark outside. KiKi tiptoed up to each lit window and peeked inside. Oh, there's Gigi. He was in bed with Buzzcut Buster, who hugged him tightly. Gigi was far from properly folded. He was crumpled. His face was turned toward his back, clamped down by the boy's hand, and his stomach was being crushed by the boy's arm. On his nose, he had a bandage that matched Buzzcut Buster's. KiKi quietly opened the window, stood on her toes, and pulled Gigi's tail. Gigi didn't move. He'd kept his promise and truly transformed into a stuffed animal. The back of KiKi's nose stung as she held back tears of gratitude. What a precious friend he is. "Gigi, Gigi," she called in a low voice. He slowly opened one eye. KiKi set the toy on the boy's stomach and whispered, "Hurry." Gigi slipped away from the boy and bounced like a ball into KiKi's arms. She couldn't tell if he was laughing or crying, but he was purring deep in his throat. How wonderful it is to breathe freely, to be able to move. Gigi looked around with renewed curiosity as he and KiKi flew through the sky. About that, KiKi said without looking at him, "Sorry, but there's something else I need your help with. This time you don't have to pretend to be a stuffed animal, though. You can laugh, cry, whatever you like." "That'll be a piece of cake, then." Gigi nodded as if he understood everything perfectly. But when the painter sat KiKi and Gigi down next to each other, she ordered, "Straighten up, Mr. Witch Cat. Curl your tail and make a serious face. Okay, good. Now hold your breath. Just like that. Just like that. Don't move." Gigi bristled angrily. That only made the painter shriek with delight. "Oh, fantastic. That's a witch's cat for you. Just like that. Just like that." As KiKi sat there prim and proper, she was thrilled. "There's another person who likes me." That night, KiKi wrote her first letter to Okino and Kokiri. "I decided to live in a place called Koriko. It's a big town near the sea. At first I thought it might be too big, but it's turned out to be perfect for the type of work I started to do. I started my own business, KiKi's delivery service." She wrote about everything that had happened so far, leaving out the moments when she'd felt discouraged, of course. She ended her letter like this. "The seamstress said she would halve the length of my skirt, but I think I'm going to have her make a silver cushion for Gigi. Next time I'll send a picture of his calm face. We're having fun, so please don't worry. Take care, both of you. Bye for now." KiKi opened the front door to her shop and instinctively shaded her eyes with her hand. "It's so bright." When she'd first arrived in town, the sun had beamed down with a mild, playful glow. It wasn't all that different from the sunlight in her small town back home with its many forests. But now it pounded down ruthlessly, as if taking aim and hurling itself. "Summer by the sea is something else," KiKi murmured. "It's hard to breathe." She undid one of the buttons at her collar to cool off, then stood up on her toes. "Oh my gosh. It's not as if I'll be able to see the sea on tiptoe. I must be thinking of Mom's letter." Back home, she would stand on tiptoe in her front garden, where she could see as far as the eastern peak of Mount Green. The note she received from KiKi 2 days ago reminded her of the mountain and the little town she'd left. Yesterday I was out, so I stopped by Mount Green on my way home. I remembered how when I would send you on an errand, you would stop off there and take forever to come back. The grass was almost up to my knees. I sat there for a while, looking up at the sky. And then what do you suppose happened? I fell asleep. The grass smelled so sweet, and the breeze was blowing so gently. I'm not sure how long I slept, but when I woke up, I rushed home. When your dad saw my face, he laughed. He said I looked just like you, with marks from the grass on my cheeks. I ended up laughing too. KiKi remembered playing on the fields of Mount Green under the blazing sun and walking the roads of her town. She missed it so much, her heart ached. Okay, she said, shaking off the sad feelings. Let's get the day started. That is where we close the book for tonight. I hope you enjoyed this part of KiKi's journey. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you for your continued support. Wherever you are tonight, I hope you feel safe, relaxed, and a little less alone. I'll be here with another story next time. Until then, rest well and good night.